Yo, what up, what up, what up, and welcome back, man. Welcome back. I apologize. I'm not putting out a lot of content, but I'll be honest with you. I got my kids this week, and they come long before my motherfucking hobbies and shit. I'm here with my boy TK Mao, and I'll be honest with you. I got a couple of articles that, you know what I'm saying, if I can't screen share, you know what I'm saying, I'll probably send them over to TK or somebody else who can do it. And we'll try and like put this up on screen for y'all so y'all can see what the fuck I'm saying. But like it's goddamn disappointing. Legit, it's fucking disappointing. And I'm gonna reveal some truth to y'all today that I'll be honest with you, turd flinging monkey ain't gonna tell you because it would kind of like, throw his whole ideology into a fucking terrible fucking tailspin. So that's kind of where we are today at the moment. You know what I'm saying? That's what the fuck we gonna do. So what up, TK Mal? How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Fucking, I woke up sore as shit today. Fucking, apparently my kids done shut the heat off to the fucking house, and I woke up, it was like fucking negative 25 degrees in the crib. Like, like, I've been sore as a bitch all motherfucking day and shit. You know what I mean? Like, just now I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I'm debating on whether or not I want to do like a full workout tonight or whether I just want to lift some fucking weights and chill back. But in the motherfucking meantime, you know what I'm saying? We got some stuff to discuss about this fucking shit. Man, listen, the army they dropped us. I'm sorry, I caught this article today about fucking how like army leadership is putting women in the motherfucking role. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yo, TK Mount, can you hear me, my brother?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm not.
Can you hear me?
Sure. Cool. I want out this right because it says, all right, this is on task. This is from Task and Purpose. Senior Army leaders are discussing making long-awaited changes to hair and grooming regulations. They plan to announce the finalized changes in January 2021. Task and Purpose has learned. Changes are being discussed among Army leadership, including allowing women to wear ponytails in uniform and removing wording from existing regulations found to be offensive or racist in an effort to reflect the Army values and the Army's commitment to diversity and inclusion. According to slides obtained, a series of recommendations were first presented earlier this month to a review panel made up of representatives from around the Army, including from Army Training and Doctrine Command, Army Forces Command, Army Special Operations, and the Army National Guards. An Army official familiar with the panel said the majority of representatives were women. Yo, they're putting women in charge, dude.
Yeah. This has been a thing for, unfortunately, a minute. It started. Oh shit! This probably started, if you want to really get back to it, in like 1912 or whatever, when they first, or 1913, when they first gave women suffrage, right? You actually had a majority of women who were voting, well, air quotes of voting. You had more women sign a petition against women's 1919,
suffrage. But yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, you had more women sign a petition against women's suffrage than you had women petitioning for women's suffrage, because women didn't want to be drafted, which is completely logical, and I 100% get that. If you don't want to be brought into war, then you shouldn't vote.
Well, the whole purpose, the whole like, see, here's the problem, right? The only real reason to have a government is to conduct warfare, right? Period. Like, point blank. Right. That's the only reason to actually have a fucking government, is to conduct warfare. Like, it's the basic very beginnings of any type of government as a whole, is legitimately just so you stand here and have the ability to protect yourselves from other tribes. That's the very beginnings of all government, right? And so, like, the whole purpose of the democracy and representative democracy and republics and all the ways of doing things was so that the men who were going to go and fight those wars had the right to choose who it was sent them to fucking fight.
Right.
It's that fucking simple, right? That was the basic premises. That was the agreement. It's like, yo, look, we're going to draft you into our fucking military, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, because before that, it was all volunteer, right? And we said, look, we're gonna draft you into the military. And this was after, this is like this is right before World War One, and then after World War One, they decided, well, you know what? We're going to stand here and we're going to pass these fucking laws that allow women to vote without having that same basic fucking agreement that you get drafted into warfare whenever it's a fucking time for us to go in. And that's fucking bullshit.
You're right, but I think there is some nuance there. I think specifically what happened was after the Civil War, we got the standard of you enlist, you get a vote. And the thing there was that once you got to the point where black men could vote, then the white women threw a fucking bitch fit. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Where they're like, well, if you're letting black men vote but not white women, then where's the line there? And you know, I'm not about to simp for black men on any sort of level here, but like they can be soldiers without much problem. Women, not so much. Right.
Like, yo, Harold Shacklebound, welcome, my brother. It's nice to see you out here. Have a wrench. You know what I'm saying? This is a wrench, no state. That way, no one ever gets silenced inside of my chat. You'll never have anybody hold you up from being able to say nothing, and you'll always be recognized. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the motherfucking mentality that I have about my fucking chats and my live streams, and you know, I mean, individuals who I keep around me and shit. That's how this works. Everybody gets a fucking wrench. Freedom of speech is the utmost out this bitch. But yeah, so like. My mentality, so here's the thing. So it was after the Civil War that all men got the right to vote, right? It was like all free men had the right to vote after the Civil War, right? And I really didn't like, all right, so they gave all men the right to vote, but on the same point, like, there was a lot of like problems down south between like black people and white people and these type of things, and this is going to happen, and differentiating fucking cultures when you introduce them as a whole in large mass fucking groups. That's kind of where everything gets down to, and like it's going to happen no matter where you are. But
yeah,
the reason why men got the right to vote is because men fought in the fucking military, like 500 or 600 at this point. It's almost 700,000 people legit. Fucking, they're like, they keep raising the numbers of deaths from fucking the Civil War, right? Like, it's that many individuals actually died in the fucking Civil War. And so they said, well, if we're going to stand here and have, that type of bloodshed and violence inside of our country, we should have the right, all of us should have the right to say who it is going to send us to fucking, goddamn die. It's that goddamn simple, right? And like, they didn't give women the right to vote until 1919, fucking with the fucking passing of the fucking 19th Amendment, or 1920. Yeah, 1920, the fucking passing of the 19th fucking amendment and shit. And legit, that was under Woodrow Wilson. And Woodrow Wilson legit passed some of the shittiest fucking laws in the history of our goddamn country. Real shit. Like, yo, that dude did more damage to this fucking he got us into World War One. He fucking stood here and fucking passed the Federal Reserve Act. He passed the motherfucking he passed the fucking Women's Suffrage Act. Like, yo, there was a shit ton of fucking amendments he put in that were just fucking awful in that goddamn time.
Yeah. The point I was making was more of that with the Civil War, you got the concept of universal suffrage. And if they had just, ended it at, service guarantees citizenship, like some Heinlein shit, then I don't think we would have ended up where we are today. But the thing is there that they didn't. They decided they needed to universalize shit. And something that Sargoy said that actually I found is really, really true is that if you use language that universalizes something or strips a moral connotation from something, you are actually reducing the amount of information that you're communicating. Like, just as an example, if I am going to say, for example, mislead instead of lie, right? I
Right.
am telling you less information when I say mislead than when I say lie, because
Oh,
lie
and any
tells you.
any past prohibition, by the way. That was another one that fucking Woodrow Wilson did. Like, yo, I'm not playing. This dude was a bag of fucking shit. Like, yo, that dude was a fucking piece of fucking human garbage. I just want to put that out there right now. Legit, he was the worst president that we ever fucking had. I just want to put that, you know what I mean, out there in the fucking in the atmosphere. I apologize. Go ahead, keep going, my brother.
Yeah. I would argue that he was the worst, and Andrew Jackson was one of the best. But basically, a lot of what has happened in modern language nonsense is that by creating this like analytical language, we have stripped the moral aspect from our language, and that has made us less able to actually communicate. Because if you like read Shakespeare or you read anything from more than 50 years ago, what you'll find is that a lot of the time they use words that have baked in them moral connotations. And people like to say that that's like judging people. But the thing is that like the judgment baked into the language is information. Like if I call you a liar, then you know where the fuck we're standing, right? It's not. I'm not making any sort of qualms about the fact that you are a bad person because you are a liar. And I feel that with this kind of scientific clinical speech that they're forcing upon everyone through both the education and the media. Just as an example, if you look at any particular headline and you look at how they talk it, like anytime they're talking about, say, Antifa or anything, they always use passive language where they don't actually have any moral language in what they talk, like fighting broke out instead of one side instigated or one side retaliated, right? Whereas if they want to,
It's a take from the corporate land structure, right? Like, sorry, so like
go
corporations
for
for a long time have been using like language that nobody else understands, right? And that's something that individuals really miss out on. Like, they don't understand that shit as a whole. Like, for instance, if I tell you a company is a non-asset based allocation fucking company, right? Like, motherfuckers go, what the fuck are you talking about, right? Because it's stuff that's meant to make you fucking stand here and not understand what the fuck they're saying as a whole, right?
yeah,
It's made to stand here and like, it's corporate speak is really what it is. It's the ability of being able to stand here and say shit, but not really say anything at all in the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? By the way, yo, what up to everybody new in the chat, man? We got Harold Shacklebond, H Bug, motherfucking DKS. You know what I'm saying? Did I miss anybody else? Enclave Harden. Man, how the fuck y'all doing? Welcome, my brothers. Welcome. It's nice to see y'all out here and shit. You know what I mean? For real. Jeff Vader, Kevin Dugan, as always, my brothers. Nice to see you out here. Time Force 80, how the fuck you doing? You know what I mean? Fucking it is what it is. Stone Mexican guy and her doctor Nappy, man. Fucking nice to see everybody out in the chat. Nice to see y'all coming out, show support for the fucking channel. Y'all know the deal, man. I ain't shit without y'all on this bitch. That's how this works. But yeah, man, like it's a strange thing, legitimately, you know what I mean, that you have individuals saying things but that don't mean nothing, right? But like it's that tends to be how it works. Right. And
It's
especially,
not just that
legal sense, right? And
it,
that's what it is. It's
right.
legal speak, it's legal jargon. You know what I mean? It's so that they can stand here and not ever really take a position about anything. And you know, what I mean, fucking Ben Franklin stands here and like, I don't know if you ever had a chance to like listen or read like some of Ben Franklin's works. He did a lot of this type of shit where like he was a politician before anything else. You know what I'm saying? He'd say like, fucking, I'm gonna go have a conversation with him and find out where I stand on shit. Yo, fucking Dingleberry, what up, my brother? You know what I'm saying? Nice to see you out here. Right. They got robots to fight the next war. It don't even matter anymore. Yeah, I feel where you are. Legit. That's a problem that we have as well. But that's it's legal speech in order to stand here and be able to take any sides you need to take in a certain fucking argument so that you can maneuver around other men. And it's a shitty way of fucking communicating. It really is. And it's spreading to the population because the population as a whole doesn't want to ever take sides about anything because they don't want to ever be tied down to a certain point to be able to have to go to the mattresses about that fucking point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you, but I also feel like, if I have on occasion just been an asshole about this before, and like no ways around it. And like I have, while I was sitting at a bar, tried to decide, what's going to happen if I use this like real passive legal language when I'm just talking to somebody at the bar.
Well, it works well for casual conversation, right?
No. Every time I've gotten my face fucking caved in.
Because I'm saying like it works well in casual conversation because you can conversate with anybody if you can stand here and take, like whatever side that the individuals around you are on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's definitely the case if you are playing it right. But if you're trying to play it like these lawyers are, where you're trying to just play it to be right, then that's a great way to just piss someone off.
I guess, it is, I mean, like, well, see, that's a problem. Like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, if you can stand here and like speak the way that they do, like it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to a low IQ, you know what I'm saying? Like mouth breathing, fucking arm swinging motherfucker. Like, yeah, of course, they're going to be fucking pissed off about that type of shit. Right. But if you're talking to somebody else who's, high society type of individual, they're going to do the same thing right back to you because they're going to recognize it because that's a language that they're accustomed to speaking and has been spoken to them forever.
I get you. I'm talking about like motherfuckers who I can smell the cow on them when they come into the bar.
Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. They're not gonna like that. They're gonna like you got a fucking purty mouth, son. Like, like I understand because I'm from those people. Like those are my people and shit. And like I got you. Like they're gonna be highly fucking upset. You know what I mean? Fucking like, yo, Harold Shecklebond. Yeah, I feel where you are. Legit. I feel exactly where you're at right now. Like, yo, that's mostly though the work of fucking Farrakhan and shit. You ever have a chance, check him the fuck out. He'll wake you up on a lot of that type of stuff. But yeah, anyway, fucking like, yeah, so what did I want to tell you? Oh yeah, fucking like, so that Mr. New York mile a minute mouth guy, and I don't like the way you're talking. Like that shit, is something that is gonna piss them guys the fuck off. But it's not gonna piss off, just corporate individuals, who work in an office all day. Like fucking Excel is, a master at that type of language.
Yeah, I feel you, but no offense to your bottom bitch there, but he's God damn it, you stop. You tripped me up there. He is not exactly what I suppose they used to call the yeoman. And maybe it's just because I grew up around fucking swine herders, right? Um,
Well,
and
you have to remember, Excel's a suburban dude, right? Like he grew up in the fucking suburbs and shit. And he had a normal life where, like, he had, his mom and his dad, and they had 2.3 kids and a fucking, white picket fence and things of this nature, right?
that's not normal to me.
Yeah, I feel you. It's not normal to me either. Hence why, like, I started the white trash no state, right? So, like, all of us who that's not normal to, we can have a place where we can go, yo, look, and eat a dick. We don't got to fucking be like, yo, we like our culture and our heritage and who we are. We don't have to change for you or adjust the way we talk or get rid of our accents or anything of this nature. I much prefer to keep my accent. Thank you very much. I can still be just as intelligent talking the way I talk right now. And most of the time I come out of left field and punch somebody in the side of the head because they don't see me coming. That's highly important.
Yeah, because yeah, on the language part especially, like what pisses me off about language is not so much that like language needs to be precise or you can be precise with language, because I'm pretty sure even the dumbest person, if they're gonna sit down and like write a letter, for example, the dumbest person I know can
Right.
sit down and write a letter and be real precise with their language. But the thing is, when you're talking to a dude, what you're trying to do is you're trying to express the most amount of information with the least amount of syllables. Right. Just because you're conversating with a
Okay.
person.
All right. Well, here's the problem, right? And I think this is somewhere where we run into issues, like legit. Like as far as like being men are concerned, like we have this problem in communicating with other men on a regular basis. Hey, I'm trying to send you a secondary article that I want to get into yet before we, like, so we can go over it at some point during the stream. Right. Fucking like, God damn it. Fucking, this is not working. I'm waiting on my shit to load. Anyway. So like, I think it's important that not only do we get our point across in the least amount of syllables, but we get our point across and we stand here and, how do I put this? We relate to each other, right? So that it's not like we're talking down to one another, right? And so that we can stand here and have the ability to, there we go. Come on, bitch. Fucking work, stupid. Right. We can have the ability to sit here and really, have a conversation and have each other hear one another. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's fucking highly important as far as shit's really concerned. Because, like, fucking gaming line. What up? Thank you, my brother. Right. Link is in the motherfucking Discord. You know the deal, right? I think it's important that we as men have conversations with other men, right? And we're able to have this conversation, right? yo, yo, did you see how low the fucking fertility rate is in fucking South Korea?
Oh Christ.
Yo, like I legit, like I 8'4". less than one kid per woman.
Yeah, I actually know a few South Koreans, and I can actually see that being a thing.
Well, like we don't even have to really get into this motherfucking article all like that, legit, right? Like, yeah, we really don't have to. Okay, so let me tell you something, right? That a lot of people aren't gonna motherfucking tell you, right? Okay.
I
First
mean,
off,
I can go ahead and try to guess what you're going to say, that
What am I going to say?
Don't want to have kids.
No, that's not it. That's not it at all. Right? That's not the problem with this. Do you know where else? Do you remember you made up a little you made up a little graph for me at one point?
Yeah. It was urbanization rate versus fertility rate, right?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure fucking South Korea is one of those places that was like really, really, really fucking bad. Right?
I don't see that right now. But yeah, South Korea was definitely pretty far down there as far as the fertility and urbanization rate went, just because like there are a lot of what's the term, like factors that go into South Korea, right? Because, like, first of all, they were a third world country until what, like 60 years ago, something like
70 at this point.
Yes, might be 70 at this point. I forget exactly when the Korean War was.
Well, it was 19. It was like 1950 to 1957, I think, something like that.
Right. So, and then when we took over South Korea, let's be real about this. When we took over South Korea, we basically just made them wholesale take our constitution and all of our legal systems whole cloth. And this is something that TFM kind of harps in on, which is completely true, which is that, you know, if you just dump a traditional society into a Western legal system, your fertility rate is just going to immediately tank, for a decent number of reasons. But the biggest, that if you give women options, they're going to choose not to have kids.
But that's not it though with South Korea, right? Like, that's not it with South Korea or Japan or Taiwan or motherfucking Singapore or any of these goddamn places that have these ridiculously low fertility rates of like 1.1 and 1.2, right? It's not the case with Italy, right? Like, that's not what it is at all. It's not the fact that women have other options, right? It's just like, it's not the case with places in, the Middle East that have fucking below fucking replacement fertility rates, where the women are locked in motherfucking cages and shit and chained to radiators, right? Like, this is something that, TFM don't want to discuss this, right? Like, Iran has, a below fucking fertility rate, right? Fucking rate. Saudi Arabia is below the fucking fertility rate. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's all these countries in the Middle East that are far below the fucking fertility rate, but nobody wants to have that conversation, right? Nobody wants to add that in when we start talking about like, oh, it's just women. It's not, it's urbanization. Like, there's a lot of this that has to do with the fact that there's too many fucking people living in goddamn cities. It's that fucking simple.
Yeah, I am convinced that there is some sort of like pheromone reaction that happens to people.
I've been convinced of that since I was fucking 15, like, legit. Legendary Jew, what up, my nigga? Right? Fucking like, real shit. I have been convinced of that since I was fucking 15. I think that when there's too many of us in a fucking area, we stop breeding. I am absolutely convinced of that. Right?
Yeah.
That's a devout Muslim motherfucking country. And that's kind of where we're getting down to with this. And by the way, Randolph Vance, let me tell you like this. They don't want to give us money. And I'm going to tell you why they don't want to give us money. Because they know that, like, there's no production to back it up. Right? So when there's no production to back up the fucking money, right? That like, yo, they're trying to give us, it's just going to inflate the fucking currency and it's going to cause massive fucking bubbles inside of the economy. Like, yo, that's some shit that like, yo, yo, you don't assume these fucking people are really thinking about, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the way you're thinking. Like, don't think that like, you know what I'm saying, they really give a shit about Section 230 or any of that bullshit. They don't give a fuck about that. What they give a fuck about is the fact that like, yo, they know that there's only so much money they can print. And the Fed has told them such. You're a legendary Jew. Yes, yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I'm at. You know what I mean? And that's my mentality with shit. You know what I mean? Like, cause I'm an economist type of dude. I study numbers and math and fucking economic facts, like real shit. Like if you give us money and there's no productive value behind it, you know what I mean? Like, yo, it's just gonna cause massive amounts of motherfucking inflation in the economy, and fucking the price of goods are just gonna skyrocket, and then you're gonna have money, but you won't be able to afford anything anyway. And when you get back to work, everything will cost massive amounts of money.
Yeah. Honestly, the main reason I think that they're doing it at all is this, which is that you got like 12 million renters who are behind like $5,000 in back rent. So that back rent is as soon as that's paid, it's not actually going to go into the M2 money supply. All of that is going to be going right back into the investment class. That's the whole thing about the last stimulus bill and why it didn't create all the inflation that you might think it would. It's because it was bailing out the banks like as a backdoor measure, right? Where you backstopped a bunch of businesses, but all the businesses are, in debt to the banks. And so what you're basically doing is letting those banks collect on their loans that they already put out. And so you're not actually creating any more money in the actual M2 money supply. You're just making sure that the credit gets floated for another couple months, right? And,
Yeah.
and
All right. Hey, wait,
I
gotta address my nigga DW. Like, yo, we are not jumping off the repeal of the 19th bandwagon. We are not doing that shit at all. All right. That train is still rolling. Right. The problem is that at no point was repeal the 19th fucking ever about fucking creating more children. Like legit. Okay, like, yo, because creating more children is not the goddamn solution to our fucking problem inside of our economy at the goddamn moment in our country as a whole. It might be the problem, you know what I mean, in like places like Germany or like fucking, places
Japan.
that are underpopulated, you know what I mean, Japan, fucking South Korea, like where they're, you know what I mean, they need to have fucking kids because like they don't have enough like fucking people around to be able to defend their country. We're fucking fine for our 3 generations and fucking females, you know what I mean, really back down the goddamn number. You know what I mean? Like, so like the problem is with the repeal to 19 thing is like, yo, legit, like they just in general shouldn't be making decisions and voting for people who are just going to give them fucking free gibs for them to be able to make whatever fucking decision they want to make. You know, blood letter get what up, my nigga. You know what I mean?
It's a matter of incentives where I think you actually put it the best a little while ago, where women and children are who society is designed to protect. So if you put the people who society is designed to protect in charge of society, then they literally it just short circuits the whole fucking system. Because like, I'm sorry, but
it's like letting the customer run it's like letting the customer run a restaurant.
Right. Because
like, yeah, that free fucking bread and fucking salad bowls forever. You know, like it doesn't fucking work. You know, like, you know, I mean, I don't think service guaranteed citizenship's a good idea. I think that everybody who pays taxes and everybody who fucking stands here and actually fucking serves should get the right to vote. It's that simple.
Service
that's
guarantees
a good basic
citizenship can work.
Nah.
The problem is that you have to actually get it down to the Starship Troopers level of you have to make the service fucking suck. Like, you have to make it however many years of it is, be it 2, 4, whatever. You have to make it hell for whoever it is, whether it be peacetime, wartime, or whatever. And that's the critical part of that, which is you want to make it so that with the service guarantees citizenship, it's not necessarily that you're a military officer or that you're capable of defending your country. The idea behind service guarantees citizenship is that you are willing to die to put yourself not only second, but like fifth behind your countrymen before you actually make a decision. And that there's some real solid ideas behind there. The problem is that you're going to have other servicemen tell you how you need to serve. And so you're going to end up in about the same place where we are right now after a couple generations.
There we go. All right, got it figured out. All right. Yeah, I agree with you. Right. All right. So like here's how this works. I like the ideology of allowing immigrants that they serve for 2 years or 4 years or whatever the case might be, have the ability to gain citizenship. I'm cool with that. Here's the problem.
Legal immigrants.
Well, even illegal immigrants.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. You have security clearance issues with illegal immigrants, just in general. And it's a massive, massive problem right now, especially with Chinese paper Americans, which, China, it's an ancillary problem with what's going on in America right now. But the fact is, right now, we have a bunch of Chinese nationals who are in bed with the CCP who are still veterans. So, like, that's a massive problem because they're embedded into the entire freaking system.
Okay, so, yeah, Randolph Vance is kind of where I'm at. So, okay, I think, for instance, like for the next 10 years, we should shut down all immigration, period. Right. And let the American worker have an opportunity to catch up. Like me and you've had this conversation like 1,000 goddamn times. And I mean, in the Discord, by the way, join the Discord. Y'all can motherfucking enjoy these conversations with us. Right. Links in the fucking description. That's kind of one of those things is where, I think immigration should be stopped for 10 years altogether. We should no longer allow anyone into the country as a whole. Right. And everybody who's here on a fucking visa, as soon as it's out, you're gone, for 10 fucking years, and just let the American people have the opportunity to catch up, reunify, and have the opportunity to start making money and rebuild the middle class. That's all it's going to take is 10 years. And it's going to hurt business for a little bit. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And I don't like the ideology that business thinks that it can continue to keep down fucking labor costs by just bringing in fucking cheap labor from overseas. Right. Like, for instance, with this last fucking stimulus bill that just passed, they stood here, and I mentioned this in the last live stream, and I'll keep mentioning it. Like, one of the big things that they fucking passed was they can go, oh, well, we can sit here and, we can sit here and bring in more people on H-2B visas, right, to stand here and, fucking work at fucking factories for food and agriculture and farming and all that type of shit. What you got up on the screen, TK?
Oh, nothing in particular. I was just checking the Discord real quick. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was like, I was just letting us motherfuckers stand here and bullshit. You know what I mean? I wasn't stressing about fucking putting anything on screen at the moment. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's, you know, I mean, that's kind of where I get down to as far as shit's concerned. I don't think we should have any more immigration for the next 10 years. And, you know, we should catch up. And then, you know, I mean, like we can have a conversation about bringing immigrants in. But ultimately, like, yo, that's going to have to happen no matter what's going to go on. Like, we can't keep bringing in fucking more people because eventually you're just going to have a fucking, like, a social overthrow of the goddamn country and we're going to end up with communism. Like, that's what I'm trying to tell. That's what I was trying to tell TFM. But like, he just like, no, man, you know, you're a fucking mercantilist. I'm like, no, man, I'm a realitist. I'm a pragmatist. Like, I understand that you can't keep fucking people because they're gonna rise up against you. Like, that's how this works. And he goes, well, you just shoot them. And I go, no, like, yo, you don't understand. Like, you can't just shoot your own fucking citizens because they're rising up because they don't have the ability to feed themselves.
Especially not if you're in a representative republic. Like, we're not a democracy, first of all, and democracies are fucking stupid. We should never have a democracy, just because democracies are mob rule, obviously. But the point is kind of moot on the difference between a democracy and a republic if you just keep flooding the entire country with cheap labor, because, like, you know, whether it be Beverly Hills or the cornfields out in the middle of Kansas, if you keep flooding more immigrants in from south of the border, who the other problem is where and how those immigrants come in. A lot of these immigrants are coming in because they come from socialist nations that are basically failed nation states. Mexico is basically a failed state, and the only reason that it's staying stable as it is right now is because every time that they have a populist revolt, every time they have enough people who get pissed off and want to change something, they just kind of decide that they're going to move to the United States.
Yeah, the border's a pressure relief valve on their political system.
Right. That's a long story short there, but so on one hand, that's a decent thing for the first couple of waves of migrants. That's why you see that like Mexicans who moved here in like the 70s and 80s are actually decently Republican. That's why you see Cubans who moved here are decently Republican. But the issue is that, like, every time that pressure relief valve switches, you're going to get slightly more and more communist people, because, like, you can keep taking the top 10% of Mexico every time that they are about to revolt, right? But if you just keep taking the top 10% of Mexico off, Mexico itself is going to become worse.
Well, also you kind of see, and this is the problem that I run into too with these type of conversations. You're not getting the top 10%, right? You're getting, like, you know what I'm saying, like probably a good chunk of the bottom 30, right? Because those are the individuals who are being pushed out of the labor market by fucking drug lords and shit. If you're in the top 10%, you're making money in fucking Mexico. You're not going to leave, is kind of the deal. Like, you're going to do well in Mexico if you're already in the top 10%. And like, their kids are already going to be educated in the United States, and they're going to fucking, you know what I mean, they're already going to be here and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's kind of the deal.
and then you also have the issue where like a stupid amount of Mexico technically has American citizenship but still lives in Mexico anyway.
Yeah. Like, it's like, I did the math one time, and so there's 120 million Mexicans, right?
Right.
And there's 30 million Mexicans living in America. We
Right.
literally have a quarter of their population living in our country.
Right.
Like it's
And
that's like a quarter of their fucking population lives in America.
and then you
Like,
throw on top of it that those Mexicans living in America actually have an easier time applying for government benefits than a native born American does.
well, yeah, and I mean because like our fucking system is literally set up to help everybody accept the American citizen. You know what I mean? Like that's another half of the fucking problem is that we never really had that conversation about helping the men of our society because we said, all right, well, the men should do well on their fucking own. You know what I mean? And that's a very true statement. Like, you know, fucking I don't think that like any man should be asking for help. But on the same point, if you get put out of work through no fault of your own, you know what I mean, or if you end up in a situation where your fucking whole plant leaves and you have an entire community of individuals standing here fucking, you know what I mean, out of work and their wives are, you know what I mean, fucking being handed the welfare to throw them into the fucking street. Maybe, just maybe, you know what I'm saying? You should help the dudes instead of the broads. You know what I mean? Maybe you should help that dude maintain his fucking family rather than standing here fucking helping, you know what I'm saying, the female to fucking get rid of her family and fucking put her kids and the fucking man on the goddamn street. Maybe that's, you know what I mean, a better way of doing things than what we've been doing. You know what I mean? And then that man can fucking figure his way the fuck back into being productive because every man as a whole really actually just wants to be productive and wants to be part of society.
Well, you wouldn't be wrong if the point of the whole thing was to actually make a productive society. However, the point isn't to make a productive society. It's to extract as much wealth for as little effort from the American continent, not just the American people, the actual whole American continent as possible. Because the big thing here is that, like, we have basically, if you have cooperation between the executive and the judicial branches, you have the same power set, uh, basically the same ability to exercise power as an aristocracy. However, you have the exact opposite set of incentives. A hereditary aristocracy has basically time preferences that extend beyond their own lifespan. Because if you can, in a hereditary aristocracy, if you can make it so that the land that you are governing is worth more in the future, that is good for your kids. However, if you have what we have now, which is temporary caretakers, the more you can sell out right now, the more you can cash out right now.
Well, I
So you
think
have the same you have the same
here's
amount
the
of
problem.
power
But here's
with
the issue that we're running
wrong
into today. Right.
incentives.
Right. But here's the issue that we're running into today. There's a reason why Rockefeller and Carnegie and fucking goddamn it, who was the other fucking guy? The dude who did the banking. America's banker back in the day. Fucking what the hell is his goddamn name? Morgan. Right. And you know what I mean, JP Morgan. There's a reason why these guys gave away billions of dollars and built all these public works and education systems and things of this nature. And legitimately, it wasn't because of the fact that, you know what I'm saying, they were just good people. It was because of the fact that they knew the government couldn't protect them from the fucking people. And, you
Right.
know, I mean, the fact that they stood there and made all this money and everybody else wasn't doing as well as they were, they knew that they would have to make up the fucking difference. The problem is today is that the United States, you know, I mean, are more than willing to protect these fucking people, you know, I mean, and like have like all the police in the entire fucking world be able to fucking stand there in front of their house to keep them from burning down while they're standing here telling everybody else, you get fucked and you're going to starve. Right. That's the problem is the government's too goddamn big. right? The problem is the government fucking welfare. The problem is that like these individuals don't have any incentive to help fucking people. That's why, like, Bill Gates and all these other fucking people, what they do, they don't help out the American citizens, because they go and help out Africa or India or fucking some other goddamn third world shithole. That has nothing to do with this fucking country as a whole, right? And that's a fucking problem. Legit. You talking about like doing good. They don't do good here. Where it needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? They're not fucking standing here pulling kids out of the hood and helping them. They're not standing here going to trailer parks and helping all fucking these, these kids become better individuals, or, fucking helping them build businesses and things of this nature. They're not fucking giving them internet connections and shit. When they could very easily stand here and fucking run fiber optic cables, out of their goddamn pocket to help provide for the individuals who don't have the ability to have high speed internet to be able to fucking, stand here and, join the fucking world and jump ahead. They don't want to do that shit. They don't want to have incentives and things of this nature. Like back in the day, I remember even in the fucking 90s, they had massive amounts of fucking scholastic programs for these fucking kids where they said, we will pay you to get smarter. That's what we should be doing. We should be paying these kids to get smarter. Instead, we stand here and we try to punish them when they don't go to fucking school. And that's a fucking result of our fucking country and our fucking government becoming entirely too large for its own good.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I also feel like that's like a knock-on effect from the fact that you have government officials who are elected by women largely, and B, you have government officials who have only however many terms, and then they're done with it, and the only thing they pass on to their kids is the wealth they have extracted from the system, not whatever they have added to the system. So I think you just get this with a republic after a couple hundred years.
I don't know, man. Like I feel like I get what you're saying, right? And it's it's a result of universal suffrage and having females vote, which is why we're still on a repeal the 19th fucking bandwagon, by the way. Right. That's why that train is not ending. Right. But on the same point, we have to look at this as a whole and understand why the problems are what they are. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of the deal. Like I know fucking sheiks and Muslims who are just as good people as fucking Christians or better. Legit. Like fucking who have businesses and run them and pay people well and take care of their fucking pay their taxes and conduct their business properly and raise their fucking children to be upright, upstanding fucking citizens. So like, don't stand here and, like, I don't fucking care whether or not you're fucking Muslim or Christian or fucking atheist. I don't fucking give a shit. If you're a good person, you're a good person. I don't really give a fuck about your goddamn religion as a whole. Right. What I care about legit, and this is where like a lot of people get shit mistaken. I care about the economic principles of fucking having too many poor people taking jobs from other poor people who live here. That's what I care about, because that's what affects me. Right? Like, I want to be able to fucking have a good good ability to compete at a fucking job as an American goddamn citizen.
Right.
It's that simple.
Right.
Because I know that, like, legit, the average IQ in America is 100. Like, it's that simple. It's 100. Okay. Like, that's the average IQ of a human being. Okay. So as a whole, 50% of people are dumber than that. And when you get to 75, you're at potato. Niggas is licking windows. All right. And you get to 125, you ain't touched genius yet. That's kind of the deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you, and I think especially with the people who are on the backside of the bell curve on IQ, I think our education system really, really does them wrong, especially with the way we teach people. Like, I've had this discussion with you before, but I've taught problem children, let's just put it that way, math and science. I've taught army grunts who got blown the fuck up with IEDs how to do calculus. 99% of the time, it's not the actual math, it's not the actual concepts, it's not what you have to do, it's not the skill that they have a problem with. It's the fucking reading and understanding what the hell that they're trying to ask whenever they're asking a question. And there are techniques and stuff that you can do to help them through that. But the problem is that if you teach people primarily through, okay, you're going to sit down, read this book, fill out these problems, then everyone who's south of 100 on the IQ curve is just going to suffer in every single skill that you try to teach them, because you are going to teach them through this lens of you need to write it down, you need to read it, understand what it is, that question that's being asked, and then you need to fill out the pre-prescribed answer when, you know, that's not what you actually have to do in real life. Like, if I, for example, say, I want you to tell me how many boards I need to make a roof of this length and this width, right? And I just give the boards to a dude who has 70 IQ. He can figure that out. He doesn't understand that he's actually solving an integral equation when he's doing that, but he can figure it out.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing, like, math is again, like me and you were having a conversation yesterday about math, and you asked me, is it a skill or is it a knowledge? It's a both, right?
Right.
And I mean, like, knowing how to come up with an answer to a math question is, I mean, as important as having a skill to be able to actually fucking, I mean, like, get that fucking equation done. You know what I mean? That's kind of the situation. So with that being said, fucking goddamn 3-4 fucked me up. Like, so like, with that, and by the way, no, I'm probably not going to the outdoorsman show. I usually hit the farm show and the car show, but I'm highly doubting that any of that shit's gonna happen this year. Just to keep that all the way 100 with you. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, especially in fucking Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? I don't think Tom Wolf's gonna let either one of those fucking things go on. Yeah, so anyway, fucking yeah. So like, today I was sitting here listening to Joe Rogan podcast about fucking, they had these two dudes on and they were having a conversation about fucking like the increases in homicide and aggravated assaults in fucking like the 5 states that legalized weed in 2013 versus, 2018 or whatever it was, right? And I sat here and, I took the numbers and I fucking stood here and I found out what the increases were. You know what I mean? That's kind of really where, I'm like standing here being able to find out what percentage it really was versus the percentage of how much it increased throughout the entire country. That's, a knowledge and a skill, being able to know what equation it takes to be able to get to that fucking percentage. You know what I mean? And how to recognize like what you're doing. Like, you take one number to divide it into the other one, and then the fucking remainder of that's going to be what's left over for, fucking what your percentage is and shit. And that's, that's a fucking skill that is like, something that you have to learn how to fucking do as a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely feel you there. But I don't know. I've just seen so many people.
And how many people are able to do that?
Able to do that or can do it? Because that.
Okay. How many people right now, without any of us being able to tell them how to do it, would be able to do it right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, as a whole, how many people do you think would really be able to do that?
1 in 10.
Okay, so therefore we have to understand that finding out basic percentages, all right, and this is something else I was going to fucking talk to you about, right? Because it's kind of important. Fucking like, figuring out basic percentages, you know what I'm saying, is a 1 in 10 option. You're talking about 10% of the population has that basic ability, right?
Right.
And so when you think about it that way, think about this. Do you know what caused the 1929 stock market crash?
Not off the top of my head.
All right, this is a pretty cool thing. So basically, in the Roaring 20s, all of a sudden, what happened is they went out and started selling stocks and selling the ability to invest in the market to average people. right?
That
And
sounds pretty dumb.
well, we did it. Hang on, right? Well, and in the end of it, everybody was invested in these companies, and it turned into a giant fucking bubble that collapsed. You know what I'm saying? The bubble popped, and the entire fucking country went into a recession, into a depression, right? And today, we have the entire country is standing here, fucking invested in the market through 401ks and mutual funds and Roth IRAs and things of this nature, right?
And
As a
Robinhood.
whole, yep, and Robinhood and whatever, right? So that's kind of where my mentality gets down to, like, yo, it's on the same level that it was in 1929. And we haven't learned our lesson. I mean, because they try to do it again because they want the money in the market to be able to inflate stocks, right? And to be able to drive out the price of equities and to be able to stand here to have more money, to be able to invest, to put money into companies so that they don't have to fucking actually raise their prices, because they can't raise their prices because they won't pay the workers anymore. Right?
Yeah. There's just a litany of reasons why they can't raise their prices. A lot of them is it's because like their business model doesn't work out at all. Like Uber, for example, I don't think they've ever turned a profit.
No. Neither has Lyft. Right? We were talking about this the other day. Fucking like, yo, there's a massive amount of fucking companies that legitimately don't, turn any type of profit as a whole. Right? Most of these fucking new tech firms don't turn any profit whatsoever, but people are investing in them because there's fucking yield, right? Because everybody's 401k was promised to, continue to go up in the motherfucking market and shit. To be able to let them retire long term, whatever the case might be. And so with that being said, like, if you're promised a fucking future investment return and they don't have any way to give you any fucking return because they can't raise fucking prices, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna sit there and chase yield over and over and over again.
Well, there's that, and there's stock splits and that type of thing, but that's basically the same type of thing.
Yeah, it's all bullshit, inflationary nonsense. That's like everybody's like, oh man, they gave out all this money and the rich got richer. Like, yo, these communists, shut the fuck up. Like, yo, when you print money, you're creating money out of thin air. It's not like you're creating wealth. You're creating money. You're creating currency, right? And so when you create more currency, you end up standing here having this currency end up being devalued.
Yeah, one sec.
What?
There we are.
What do you got?
This is a decent explanation of why our economy is kind of bullshit right now. Where derivatives are, which is stocks and, all that type of nonsense, is worth more than the actual base of the entire economy. Like, more than all of the actual physical assets, more than all of the paper money, more than all of the government bonds put together.
I hate to be a dick, but like that blue and that purple, like the light blue and the purple should be switched.
Yeah. This was just what I could find just off quick Google search. But
I feel you, but like that blue, like are legit, like corporate municipal bonds, securitized debt, and listed stocks versus non-monetary commodities, private businesses, and real estate. Like, yo, real estate's way more fucking stable and is an actual asset versus, fucking listed stocks, securitized debt, and municipal bonds and corporate bonds. Like, yo, that stuck in my head for a second as an autistic individual. I was like, yo, that's retarded. And let me also say that, like, none of these things, like the risk of default is very fucking low. You know what I'm saying? Right? Of the dollar, but on the same point, like the risk of default on, I guess, default on the treasury bond, but on the same point, a treasury bond recently has had negative fucking yields.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. And recently,
I
The
didn't want people seeing your search results, whether or not you out there looking up like midgets and goats or whatever the case might be. Whatever you into
that
is your business.
I feel you. I can't actually find the particular thing I was looking at before, but this year, uh, real recently, what happened was the same thing that happened before 2000 and 2008, which is that the amount of margin debt
Right.
made a new record.
Yeah. Fucking, I seen what's his name? The Money GPS was talking about that. I didn't even watch the fucking video because it's too goddamn depressing at this point. I'm just like, I can't. Like, it's gonna collapse, but like, it's picking the fucking time and date's a fucking hard goddamn thing to do.
Yeah. This is an absolutely stupid chart right here, where if you look from 2018 and then boop, all the way up to 722 billion in margin debt. And as a real quick explanation, margin debt is basically when you speculate on something. If you buy or sell something on margin, what you're doing is you're basically taking out a loan against the assets that you have in order to work with more stock than you technically own.
Okay, all right. Yeah, look, really simple explanation. Margin is when you buy something that you don't have the fucking money for up front.
Right.
It's that simple, right? Like, you can actually buy businesses on fucking margin, right? Like fucking, like they actually have companies that will legitimately, like, they buy like Toys R Us got bought on margin, right? So like they literally stood here and used Toys R Us as the fucking collateral to buy Toys R Us. So they basically leveraged the company that they were buying to buy the company. And they've done this a bunch of fucking times with different other companies. And it always ends up very badly. Like that should be fucking illegal as fuck, just to be real with you.
Yeah, I mean, share buybacks used to be illegal too. Which
I don't really have a squabble with share buybacks as a means by
do.
which to drive up your own stock prices. Like, if that's what you need to do, to drive up the price of your fucking shares, to be able to keep your fucking company afloat, so that, like, say, like, somebody's shorting your shit out heavy, so you start buying so that you can stand here and fucking like get rid of the short sellers and shit and outdo them. Like, you should be able to have that option. Because, like, you can short the fuck out of a goddamn company and drop the entire price of the fucking stock, and like disrupt people's jobs and things of this nature, so like you should be able to have the ability to have that as a, ability to, like, keep the fucking stable financially, or keep the company financially stable as a whole. That's kind of where I get down to with the mentality of a stock buyback. I understand, like, what you have to understand is with the stock buybacks, what they're trying to do is keep the price of the fucking shares up so that they can continue to operate on fucking margins, so they can keep credit lines going and have the ability to keep the company going, so that the fucking market as a whole remains stable, and they can continue to have people be able to draw shit out with the 401ks and whatnot. Like, that's really what that shit was about the past few fucking years, where they've had massive amounts of stock buybacks. Well, that and the fact that they were onshoring their money, and then fucking, so what they did was is they had all this fucking, all right, so they took out loans to buy the fucking stock in their own company, and then paid off the fucking loans for the fucking stock buybacks with fucking money that they offshored, so that they didn't have to pay the taxes on it to bring it back inside, right? And any extra money that came in with it, they would only have to pay a certain percentage, because Trump passed all those policies so they could onshore the money. It was a giant motherfucking, like, fucking sneak to try to get the money back into the country, because Apple had something like $2 trillion sitting in motherfucking Ireland or some shit like that, just fucking hanging out, because they couldn't fucking bring it onto America, because the amount of money they would pay in taxes would end up, basically bankrupting the country.
Yeah. I think it's the double Dutch or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
the big problem I have with buybacks is that they buy it from loans, and loans that are oftentimes given out by the government. Like, from what I can tell, and I'm no stock analyst, I'm no investor, but from what I can tell, in the 2000 crash and the 2008 nonsense, when all these companies got a massive bailout, a lot of times they just took that money and they bought back their own shares. And there's also a number of companies that bought back their own stocks instead of putting it into like pensions. Like, for example, because a lot of like coal companies have just gone out of business because they levered up on too much debt. Coal isn't as profitable as it used to be. I'm not going to make that argument that it should be profitable, but instead of actually making down payments on their whatchamacallit, pensions, instead of paying into the pension funds and that type of thing, they just kept levering up and buying back their own shares. So now what's happened, and this happened under Obama, not under Trump, just before anybody starts ringing at me on this. Under Obama, they made it so that basically EPA funds go to paying off coal miner pensions, which is like the dumbest shit ever. But it's what ended up happening because, well, a lot of these coal companies, they, instead of socking something away for a rainy day, which is dumb at this point. Let's be clear here. Any company that actually saves money is dumb. Absolutely dumb, because as soon as there's an economic downturn, if you can prove that you are being materially harmed to the point where you lose jobs and you actually hurt the economy because you are losing jobs, that means that you get bailed out by the government.
Well, the real problem is with fucking standing here buying back, or the real problem is with fucking like standing here saving money, is that like the currency becomes more worthless, right? So like it's literally like it's a negative, it's really a negative carry if you hold dollars, right? Like as a whole, that's kind of the fucking problem and shit. Fucking like there's no reason. That's just like holding US treasuries at this point is shitty fucking investment as well. I mean, it's probably like, and again, like we get back to like, the cleanest dirty shirt in the fucking hamper, but it's getting to the point where that shirt is literally unwearable. like real shit. Like nigga, like that motherfucker, like, you put that bitch on, it might burn your skin at this point. I got battery acid on it and shit, and we have these conversations about these type of things. And a lot of people don't understand these basic premises. Like I'm not even like a super intelligent dude as far as shit's really concerned, but I'm able to grasp these type of concepts and, regurgitate them out to the point where individuals can understand shit, because like I speak the language of normal people, rather than dragging it out for like fucking 18 sentences to be able to explain what the fuck a derivative is. It's like if anything they buy that's, fucking not like an actual asset is basically a fucking derivative. And an asset's like, in a house, a goddamn fucking piece of a real fucking company, fucking piece of a goddamn
asset is anything that you could put hands on.
Yeah, basically. Like fucking like, like the vast majority of the fucking economic system, as far as the financial system is concerned, is based off of fucking derivatives. And this is all because of the fact that all this money is literally tied up with these 401ks, that everybody's promised all this fucking money. So everybody has to perform. And if they don't perform, then old people are not going to be able to pay their rent or live or pay their fucking health insurance or their bills or get their pills or feed their fucking kids or whatever the case might be that they have to do. because like, yo, they promised them at 65 that they'd have, a shit ton of goddamn money, to fucking be able to give them back. But the truth of the matter is that we're at the point where there's no longer any more real growth other than fucking just inflation through fucking currency manipulation.
Right. And you also have the problem where, because those old people were counting on that, they were, as Squidward or Sup or whatever the fuck his name is, will point out, these old people were shitty to their kids. They dumped them off in public schools and they ignored them and they, did whatever the fuck they wanted instead of raising their kids because they were counting on the government
They
or,
didn't,
their
they're
pension.
not, they're not fucking grandparents. You know what I'm saying? They're not fucking helping out with the fucking grandkids. They're, they're not fucking standing here helping their children out financially when they get into binds. All these type of things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. And so they need that money because they don't have any social credit, basically. And on the same flip side there, the kids don't really have a whole lot of love for their grandparents or their parents because, well, they got dumped into preschool, or whatever school as soon as they were able to walk because the parents needed to go, mom and dad both needed to go work instead of dad going to work and mom taking care of the kids at home.
well, not just that, fucking there or that. Well, a lot of that's a fucking necessity. Like, think about it like this, right? So if you have, all right, the average new home price right now is $396,000 and it's growing in a time when 12 million people are $5,000 behind on their rent and 30% of people haven't paid their fucking mortgage in 6 months. I hate the Fed so much. I hate the fucking Fed. Like, yo, legit, just let this bitch goddamn collapse. But anyway, right? Fucking, so, when you have that problem, it's going to require two incomes be able to pay for, a $1,500 a month fucking mortgage plus property taxes, plus having your fucking insurance on your house, plus being able to pay the fucking electric and the fucking heating bills and the fucking the food and clothes for your kids and all of these things. You can't do that on one income with a $400,000 fucking home or even a $250,000 home.
And you throw on top of that the state subsidizes the child care through the education system, and you just get a recipe for basically raising generations of communists and psychopaths.
You're not wrong. You're not fucking wrong. Like, it's a terrible goddamn system that we're in as a fucking whole. That's why I'm not pro education. Like, I'm legit, I'm not, like, I think, boys at a certain point. All right, here's my mentality. I would be pro education if we could tell the truth to parents and kids about their fucking children. Right.
Right. Because
it's like, if we could test your kid in 4th grade and go, all right, well, look here, man, your kid's a window licker. All right. He's not going to amount to be an engineer. He's not going to be president of the United States. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to be, special. All right. He's probably going to go break rocks with other rocks. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking, he's going to go work on a fucking factory line somewhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach him how to read and how to write and do basic fucking math. And after that, we're going to put him in a goddamn fucking work program where, like, he's going to learn how to fucking, do a trade or something along these type of lines. And it's not voluntary. It's something that, you're told this is what the fuck you're going to do. You know what I mean? And it's just an honest thing where you go, look, man, it's okay. You know what I mean? And that kid's going to earn a good living and he's going to fucking start working at like 14, 15 years old. And by the time he's fucking 20 and he's ready, to move out and do what he got to do. He has money, he has shit saved up. He's fucking a productive member of goddamn society and shit. And we understand that these individuals exist and we don't have a fucking problem with them as a whole. Right. and we separate these individuals out, and we stop trying to force everybody into the same goddamn cookie cutter fucking mentality. We look at a fucking female and go, yo, look, man, all right, her options are two. One is she finds a dude, she has a bunch of kids, she raises makes a fucking house. That's one of her options. The second one is, you better start teaching her how to fucking dance and get her some glass fucking heels. We be honest with fucking parents about who these kids are going to be, and stop fucking lying to them and tell them you could be whatever you want if you go to college, right? Because that's utter and complete nonsense, and we need to fucking stop doing it. And if you want to try hard and, work your way out of that, that's up to you. But it's not on the government to fucking pay for.
I am 100% behind what you're talking about there, Pinoid. But the thing is that I kind of have a problem with the way a lot of people define stupid. Because I don't think that a 70 IQ person who's a window licker is necessarily a stupid person. Like,
I'm not saying like we should look down on individuals at all. Like, but what I'm saying is you should accept who you are in life. If you're not that bright, there's things that you can do and still make money. You know what I mean? Like, you have to get rid of these fucking pipe dreams inside of your head of, being a goddamn engineer or a mathematician or a fucking rocket scientist or a goddamn astronaut, because it's probably not going to fucking happen as a whole.
Right. And we don't need all that many nerds in society. That it's just not a huge amount of, there's not a huge amount of demand for that. And I think a lot of people,
nerds eliminate their own jobs.
Yeah. I literally know programmers who have scripted themselves out of a job. Like, they wrote a program so good they eliminated their own job.
Because what nerds do, and like, that's fine. It's not a bad thing, but legit. So understand the top 5 or 6% of individuals, they're gonna go be nerds and fucking Google and shit. Fucking DW, federal backed student loans were not designed on purpose to create debt slaves. They were designed. All right. So here's the problem, man. Legit. A lot of people have really bad ideologies about stuff. You gotta stop reading malevolence into incompetence. Government is terrible. Let me explain something to you about the United States government. All right. The U.S. government didn't build its first road until the 1830s or 40s, right? Actually, it was 70 years after, so it was probably like the 1850s. The federal government did not build a road until the 1850s, something like that, right? And that's an important thing to understand. And the reason why that's important to understand as a whole, legitimately, is that the United States government has never had to be good at what it does. All right. They stand here and they try to do shit and they fuck up because they're bad at their jobs. All right. The federally backed student loans were designed to stand here and allow individuals to go to college and get educated and have the United States move up the value added chain as a national as a national economy, right? So we're number one in the value added chain as far as shit's really concerned, right? Now, you have places like Taiwan and places like China that make semiconductors and, make fucking microchips and manufacture things. But on the same point, if you want the most precision equipment on the fucking planet, you come to the United States for their engineering abilities. Like, for instance, how Germany has BMWs and Mercedes and, there's McLarens and fucking Britain and things of this nature, right? Well, all these companies, you don't know it, but they go to Chevrolet for their fucking engineering.
Right.
That's a fucking secret that no one knows, right? Because that's how fucking amazing we are on the value added chain, right? We do engineering, Chevrolet does engineering for BMW and fucking Mercedes and goddamn McLaren. People don't know that. Right? We are really good at shit.
You know what I'm saying? And the other thing on those student loans is that if you look at how shit lined up, you'll see that student loans, federalized student loans, specifically, I should say, came about right after we lowered the voting age to 18. So I'm not saying that it happened explicitly because of that, but as soon as federalized student loans were a thing, making them easier to get and making them easier to hand out became a way for politicians to buy off younger voters. That's I don't even think that's a controversial statement.
Yeah. All right. So Silver Eagle, here's the problem that we run into in places like Chevrolet and GM in general, right? And Ford and fucking Dodge. The issue is the cost of manufacturing, right? That's the reason why most of these fucking cars are fucking hot garbage. But like, and on top of that, American consumers don't demand better products. So, all right, check this out. For $60,000, right? You can go and buy a car right now off the lot at fucking GM that will smoke a fucking Ferrari. Real shit. And it's mid-engined. You know what I'm saying? Has a fucking, dual clutch, sequential fucking gearbox and shit. And I mean, the whole nine. Fucking one of the most amazing cars you can possibly goddamn drive. Right? One of the best cars in the world is built by fucking Chevrolet. It's the Corvette C8. Right? Something that most individuals, again, don't know about. It's one of my favorite fucking cars. It's something, I've always fucking, I've wanted since it came out like last year. Right? And that's the thing is that like, fucking Chevy on top of that, like, they were one of the first ones to have fucking, a fully electric goddamn vehicle, the Volt and shit, like America's far ahead of the curve on things. It's just that Americans we don't really pick out good cars. Like when you go, like the most important thing when people go to a goddamn fucking car lot, when they go to buy a car, the most important thing that they want is cup holders. They don't care about the motor. They don't care about how the fuck it drives. They don't care if it fucking handles. And on top of that, our laws have made it to the point, right? Fucking, and what have my avatar? What about my avatar, man? My avatar should be cool, right? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Let me know what's going on in the chat. But anyway, right? Fucking the fucking our laws have made it so that every car has to be the same. You can't even import a fucking car from other goddamn countries most of the time because of the fact that it don't meet safety regulations here in America, because of the fact that our litigious society has made it to the point where we legitimately cannot manufacture anything better than the shit boxes that we make. It is what it is. That's why that's why all these cars look the exact fucking same. They all like fucking electric razors and shit. It's fucking trash. But anyway, yeah,
and then on top of that, you throw in that 80% of consumer spending is by females.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on top of that, check this other shit out. Fucking like all of our, we are the only country in the world where every fucking road in our fucking country has a goddamn speed limit. Legit. Every other country in the world, there's no speed limit on like a lot of their fucking back roads and shit. If there's an empty fucking road, you can run as fast as you want to, and you're not going to ever get pulled over. You can do 150, 200 miles an hour. They don't care, right? It's not just the Autobahn. It's all over the fucking place. It's a blank logo on mine. It shouldn't be fucking like, I have a blank logo for TK Mao, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're blank on my
They're
end.
really not like, that's just how the fuck. All right. So here's the thing. That's how it was back in the 80s and 90s. It's not like that anymore. GM and fucking Ford and shit are on par with fucking Toyota and Honda with, how reliable fucking, my goddamn, or fucking shit is. You know what I mean? Like, hang on. All right, let me know if my avatar came back. I don't know. Fucking, it didn't. Oh, that's good.
No.
Like, oh wait, hang on a minute. Let me try this. Boom. Did they come back now?
Nada.
Oh, awesome. I don't fucking care. Whatever. It's a blank logo at the moment. I don't know why the fuck it's being a bitch. It is what it is. I'm not gonna fucking stand here and be all ridiculous about it. You know what I mean? Like fucking. Let me see. Boom. Done. Okay. Can you see my avatar now?
Yep.
All right, good. I don't know why the fuck it wasn't on there. There we go. Okay. Anyway, yeah, like that's kind of fucking, and I mean where it's at. Like today, and I mean all these cars have the same exact fucking ability to, and I mean have their shit. And I mean, all these cars are kind of the exact same at this point. You know what I mean? Like it's just how it is. And not only that, like all the cars use the same parts. Right.
Mhm.
Like you may think that like a Honda and a fucking Chevy and a GM, like, yeah, their motors are different, but like most of the relays and switches and steering wheels and ignition systems and airbags and fucking brake cylinders and all this shit, they're all made by the same people.
And the motors aren't all that different either because emission regulations and all that. Like the RX series basically got completely yeeted, even though they were fantastic cars. Did you ever drive an RX-8, Tom?
Nah, the ones with the rotary motors.
Yeah, those.
Well, they had a problem where like they had
Yeah, they
massive
wore out
failure
real
with fucking
fast.
seals and shit. Yeah, like their
Yeah,
fucking seals and shit blew out constantly. You
yeah,
know,
they don't last longer than 100,000 miles. It just doesn't happen. But the thing about them is they run real smooth for one, and they run real fast.
well, yeah,
So
but, like, that's why, like, like everybody who says if you want to get into like the car enthusiast fucking like and like fucking like you want to get into the game, you know what I mean, and go to like the fucking track on the weekends and shit, you want to get you a cheap track day car, you go buy a fucking, go buy a Miata or a fucking Mazda RX-8. That's like the best car that you can get for those type of things.
yeah, but the reason why they stopped with those RX series and the rotary motors wasn't because of the reliability, wasn't because of all those maintenance issues. It was because of the emissions, because the rotary motor by design burns oil.
Yeah.
And that just ruins your emissions. It just completely ruins your emissions. And if you can't make emission standards, you can't sell it in Europe. And if you can't make emission standards, you can't sell in America. So you're fucked.
That's kind of where it's at. I mean, like, and European companies, all right, for instance, like, when they have like carbon offset taxes and things like this in the fucking EU. But like what they do is they lie, right? Like they just lie, right? Like,
Yeah.
they don't have any authority to stop them. Like Ferrari, like they went to Ferrari and they go, "What are your emissions?" And they go, "What's low?" They go, "What low? Oh, is one a low number?" We go, "We are one. We are one." Right? Like, right? Like, they don't give a fuck. Like, they'll just lie. They don't give a shit. Volkswagen got caught for a massive fuck. They got hit in the U.S. Right? Not in the EU. They got hit in the US because of their
because Volkswagen, those crazy German fucks, they were amazing because they had a GPS unit in their carburetors, basically. And what happened was if the GPS unit read out that they were at the actual testing facility, then it would basically run in a lower torque, lower horsepower mode that had less emissions. But anywhere else, it would just run balls out.
Yeah. I mean, like,
it,
you know what I'm saying? And
it
they
was
got caught
amazing.
and they did not get caught in Europe.
Yeah, because in the US, what happens is that the actual dealerships need to run the tests too.
Yeah.
Whereas in Europe, they just test it at the centralized facilities and they call it good.
Again, you know what I'm saying? Like, fucking, you have to understand that, like, The rest of the world is kind of on par with us. It's just up on par with us as far as shit's concerned, and we're on par with everybody else. But like we're far above it when it comes to like engineering abilities and the ability to like innovate and things of this nature. I heard a guy put it one time really well. He said, "Look, Americans will never build a Mercedes or a BMW, right? They're just not going to build that. But Germans will never build an iPhone." Like yo, it's like yo, we make great leaps forward with shit. You know what I mean? But Germans take one thing and then perfect it over, 50 fucking years. That's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be completely fair, I don't think an American custom car can be topped by a factory car from Europe, because like I think genuinely the thing with Americans is that if you're going to put in that much effort and that much money into making something, they want to make it for themselves. Like you're not going to get a Mercedes, you're going to get like a Monster Max.
Well, yeah, you're gonna get like you're gonna get like a rail. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get like this monster fucking alcohol fueled dragster with 3 different fucking motors and shit. You know what I mean? Like, yo, fucking that's what you're gonna end up getting if you fucking stand here and you build it, with yourself as as an American citizen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's but like Europeans, they fucking stand here and they build beautiful fucking cars, and they have like all these high-end brands because like they don't have the regulations that we do on vehicles. Like America doesn't build like fucking the Dodge Viper isn't even in America. Like we don't even make Dodge Vipers anymore. You know what I mean?
It's a fucking. We don't even make Jeeps anymore, dude.
No. We still make Jeeps, but we don't make like the rest of the Jeep model line. Like fucking like all the rest of the Jeeps, like a Cherokee and all that shit. That's all fucking, overseas. But we still make the Wranglers, but that's about it. And the Dodge Ram trucks. But like that, yeah, that's kind of how everything fucking works. But man, look, it's been about an hour and a half. I feel like this was a good stream. I wanted to put some content out on my channel. I want to thank everybody for coming the fuck out. Thank you, TK Mao. Like, yo, dude, it's been a great goddamn conversation. We got to start doing this shit more often.
All right, fair enough. I'll talk to you later, guys.
All right, man. We're gonna get the fuck out of here. Y'all have a good night, man. I'm gonna go and fucking, probably try to work out a little. All right, peace.